All right, hey VC, I'm Jamie. Welcome back. We're back with another video and back with a stack of CDs. I don't often show single CDs on my videos, but I was on a dark and dreary day in November today, and it's dark, it's dreary. We've got freezing rain today, just not pleasant at all. But I took the time to go to a book sale, and this is a sort of library book sale, sort of a Friends of a Public Library book sale, and this is in a town just outside where I live. They usually hold two sales a year, usually in the spring, and here we are in fall, or what feels like late fall. And usually it's quite generally a good book sale. They often have a lot of CDs on hand. I'm generally there for the CDs. Last time they had some vinyl, but this time they didn't seem to have any vinyl. But I did find some CDs, and the nice thing about this book sale, they don't price stuff. It's just make a donation. So you pick whatever you like, and then you simply make a donation, and they've done quite well with that. So I got just a small little stack of CDs here, not too bad, sort of all over the place. We've got a Paul Simon Best Of that I was not aware of. This is Paul Simon's greatest hits, called Shining Like a National Guitar. So this came out in the year 2000. And you can see the track listing there, and it's, of course, spotlighting Paul Simon's solo stuff up until that point. It's kind of all over the place. It starts off with Graceland, but then it's got Boy in the Bubble, Obvious Child, Still Crazy After All These Years, Diamonds on the Soles of Her Shoes, A Slip Sliding Away, and 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. So it's kind of all over the place, but it's a nice little CD. There's about 19 tracks on it here. And it's got quite an extensive booklet. It includes all of the lyrics, which is kind of interesting. But just a nice little booklet and a spotlight on the titles. He's certainly had more titles since 2000, that's for sure. Okay, a John Mellencamp album I was not familiar with. This is called Rough Harvest, and this was on Mercury, and this basically was his contractual obligation album. So with the release of this album, he finished his contractual obligations to Mercury and then started recording for Columbia. So this is called Rough Harvest, or the Rough Harvest Sessions, and it's kind of stripped down, or sort of alternate versions of a lot of his catalog, including tracks like Jackie Brown, Human Wheels, Rain on the Scarecrow, and this has his cover of Van Morrison's Wild Night on here. So looking forward to getting into this album just a little bit more. So yeah, I was happy to come across that one. John Mellencamp, or John Cougar Mellencamp. Okay, how about some Billy Squier? A Best of Billy Squier. Of course, the first track's got to be The Stroke. And this is 16 Strokes, the Best of Billy Squier. Okay, and Georgia Satellites, Let It Rock. Initially, I wasn't quite sure what kind of an album this was, but this is the best of the Georgia Satellites, because the second track is Keep Your Hands to Yourself, and I know that wasn't the initial cover, but this is quite simply a best of. And it starts off with their version of the Beatles' Don't Pass Me By, Ringo's song from the White Album. And so kind of a nice cartoony cover. And the boys in the back there, and then of course you got all of this going on here, and I just wasn't even familiar that they had sort of a best of. We got lots of kind of cartoony stuff going on there. So the Georgia Satellites, Let It Rock, the best of the Georgia Satellites. Okay, how about Van Halen and Balance? And of course this is from the Sammy Hagar years. And a Linda Ronstadt CD that I don't have, and my goodness, Linda Ronstadt with Aaron Neville, or Linda Ronstadt featuring Aaron Neville, Cry Like a Rainstorm and Howl Like the Wind. Of course, familiar with a lot of the music on here. You've got their song Don't Know Much, and When Something Is Wrong with My Baby, and produced by Peter Asher. But looking for. I don't think I've ever actually heard the whole album, so looking forward to that. When did that one come out? That is 1989. My goodness. Okay, on CD, I only have a J. Geils Best Of, so happy to come across this. J. Geils and Freeze Frame. Of course, the title track, Centerfold. Gosh, I remember when this came out, an absolutely huge hit. After the album Love Stinks. I'm pretty sure that this was the album that followed that, so kind of nice to have that on CD. Okay, this was an interesting series back in the day on A&M Records, where they had something called Classics. So this is A&M Records 25th Anniversary Classics Volume 15, and this one spotlighting Styx. So this classic series featured a number of artists on A&M Records, and this was really kind of taking advantage of the CD format. Most of the CDs were over an hour in length, and generally they were overviews or best of any particular group. And I think Supertramp was featured in this series, and this one featuring Styx. So I didn't have this one in my collection, and it's got, you know, in terms of up until that point, when did this come out? I want to say maybe the 90s or something like that. Oh gosh, 1987. Gosh, this goes back that far. Wow, 1987. So that's, again, sorry about the glare with CDs, but starts off with Babe, and you got, you know, Come Sail Away, Grand Delusion, Miss America, Too Much Time on My Hands, Best of Times. So this is, I think, roughly up till Paradise Theater, that sort of thing. But these are nice little, you know, nice little sort of best of CDs. Okay, Commodores, All the Great Love Songs. How many best of Commodores albums are there out there? And here's another one to throw onto the pile. All the Great Love Songs. So you get all the slow Lionel Richie songs. Sweet Love, Just to Be Close to You, Easy, Three Times a Lady. But then they also throw on Lady, You Bring Me Up is also included on this one. But not a bad little compilation on Motown label. And this one's got the CDs a little broken in the corner here. But pretty straightforward there. Okay, and how many best of Johnny Cash's are there? And this is Johnny Cash, Classic Cash, Hall of Fame series. And a little Johnny Cash 88 down there. So this features, and this is on Mercury Polygram. So this features early Johnny Cash, kicking off with Get Rhythm, Tennessee Flat Top Box, Long Black Veil, that sort of thing. I Walk the Line, Ring of Fire, Folsom Prison Blues. 20 tracks. Again, this is from a Friends of the Library sale, so you know, you just made a donation to the library for this. And this was, I wasn't sure if I was going to pick this up. I don't know what I'm going to think about this, but it just looked interesting. This is actually on Mercury, so it was on a major label. And this was released, I want to say, in the early 90s, 1994. This is a folk song portrait of Canada. And so this is a folk song portrait of Canada, features 94 songs, something like 70 singers, covers, you know, the Atlantic provinces, Quebec, Ontario. I don't think there are any like big names on here per se. It says some of the people that are featured, but none of these names really jump out at me. But it kind of features really, it's a really sort of a folk, sort of a, almost like a Smithsonian exploration in terms of the folk music of Canada. So I thought, well, this might be quite an interesting listen. And I think this is a double CD in the old sort of fat box format, which you just don't see as much. Oh, no, it's a 3 CD set. And this, again, I was intrigued that this is on Mercury. This is on a major label for something like this. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of pictures or anything like that. Just lots to read, and hopefully little bits and pieces. And this is all, it's all bilingual, so it's all both in English and in French. So that's why that's a fairly thick booklet on that. Okay, sometimes I don't mind picking up soundtracks because you never know, some of the rare tracks, especially the ones that are, you know, the more popular movies where they have different artists doing, you know, variety of songs. Like, you never know what's going to be interesting that you find on some of these soundtracks that you'll only find on a soundtrack that's never included on some of their albums. So I picked up the soundtrack to Twister. So this is Van Halen, Tori Amos, Mark Knopfler, Soul Asylum, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Shania Twain's on here. Yeah, so just kind of interesting. I don't know, the writing's not the greatest on here. I don't know if you'll be able to see that, especially with all the glare. But yeah, so I thought, yeah, I'll pick that up. Check that out. And here's a great Canadian artist. Her name is Natalie McMaster, and she's an East Coast fiddle player, has played across Canada, United States, around the world, and again, great sort of Celtic or down east of music, and she's got just a ton of albums out. And this is Fit as a Fiddle, so I'm expecting this to be all instrumental. It's all jigs, reels, you know, waltzes, that sort of thing. But a very entertaining artist. There you go. What almost looks like a signature, but actually that's, if you can see it, it's kind of like almost a design of her playing the fiddle. Almost a little kind of cartoon there. Okay, another Canadian artist. How about Best of Dan Hill? This is the Dan Hill collection. And so, Dan Hill, certainly big through the 70s and 80s with a lot of ballads, very, heartfelt ballads like Sometimes When We Touch. Also, Hold On, Can't We Try? That was the duet with Vonda Shepard. All I See Is Your Face, Let the Song Last Forever. A lot of very earnest stuff here. And this on Columbia. Okay, and last but not least, speaking of soundtracks, how about Wayne's World 1 and 2? So there you go. Of course, featuring Mike Myers. And on the first one, music from the motion picture Wayne's World. Of course, this has Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody. That became a massive hit again with the inclusion in this film. Black Sabbath, Time Machine's on here. Gary Wright, Dreamweaver. You got Alice Cooper, Feed My Frankenstein. And Eric Clapton's Loving Your Loving. On here as well. Again, the writing is pretty tiny there. I don't think you'll be able to see that, but Wayne's World 1, and yes, Wayne World 2. And on here, you got Aerosmith, Bad Company, Dinosaur Jr., Norman Greenbaum, Spirit of the Sky, and you got Robert Plant doing Louie Louie. Wow. So again, with some soundtracks, sometimes there's some stuff that turns up here that it's hard to find elsewhere. There's Boys with Aerosmith. Okay, so that is it from the Friends of the Library book sale. Just kind of short and sweet, just a nice stack of CDs. And of course, again, always good to chat, and hope everybody's doing okay. And again, a big thank you to those that do take the time to watch these videos, make a comment or two. And again, thank you to all my subscribers. I certainly do appreciate it. All right, we'll chat again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.